to another episode of Ask Anthony. My name is Anthony Peluso, CEO, founder of Wealth for Life and Australian property expert. And today I'm going to talk about something that's on everyone's mind, at least if you're in Australia anyway, and that's the upcoming federal election. What does that mean to property prices? Okay, if Labor gets in or if Liberal holds, what's that going to mean to property prices? Okay, now there's a couple of ways you can look at this. Okay. The topics for discussion right now that have people thinking twice about the real estate market is, number one, the abolishment or the changes in negative gearing. Number two, the tweaking of capital gains tax, and the follow-up from the Royal Banking Commission, where the report was released last February just gone. Okay, so they seem to be the three things that are keeping people on the sidelines as we speak. So, with the federal election taking place on the 18th of May, I believe it is, what will it do to the property market? So, let's have a look at the likelihood that the Labor Party with Bill Shorten get in. What's that going to mean to the market? So, the Labor Party is proposing some changes to negative gearing, where they want to abolish negative gearing on established property and leave it in, actually they haven't actually decided what they want to do with it with new property, but still keep it in play with new property, okay? Now, go back, for those of you that recall, I think it was back in 1985, 1986, can't remember if it was the Keating government or the Hawke government, they actually were quite courageous and chose to abolish negative gearing back in the mid-80s. It actually crashed the entire market for a period of 9 months. And 12 months later, I believe, they actually reintroduced negative gearing. So if you're going to learn anything from the past, it's that it will have some effect on the property market. So what does that actually mean if you're an investor? Okay. Well, there's a very strong chance that if you can no longer claim a loss on your property against your taxable income, you'll find a majority of investors will actually increase their rent, okay? Because then they'll want their rent, their income, their major income from rental property to cover rental expenses and the mortgage, okay? So you may actually solve a problem with this hand, but you're going to create another one with this hand here, okay? We've already got a very, very hot rental market right now where prices are quite strong, yields are quite good, vacancy rates are at an all-time low. All that's going to do is put more pressure on the rental market, okay? So people will be increasing their rents and will be knocking a lot of people out of the rental market, okay? I don't know how much of how quickly you're going to affect the prices in the real estate market if you abolish negative gearing. So we may have another problem that we're going to be dealing with after the 1st of January 2020, which is when Labor government, if they get in, are proposing to commence their changes to negative gearing. Okay, so my view is that you're going to have different governments that are always going to want to get headlines, okay? And there is no bigger headline than putting a little bit of fear into consumers with regards to the property market, okay? Now, you can look at it two ways. One, you can go into fear and do nothing, like most people do, take the sheep mentality, or do what the smart investors do and have always done and will continue to do. The guys that make all the money do not get affected by these changes, okay? They work a way around it. In fact, they use it to their advantage. Because the reality is that if you're going to let things like negative gearing and even capital gains tax, right, which if the Labor government gets in, they'll change the 50% exemption to 25% exemption. So you'll be paying, 75% capital gains tax if you hold on to an investment property for longer than 12 months. So again, more money for the government. And then you've got the Banking Royal Commission, okay, which the report came out in February. It means tighter lending for the banks. I don't necessarily see that as a bad thing, okay? It protects a lot of consumers against themselves. Again, these are things that you need to work around and don't let them stop you. That's the message coming out of this Ask Anthony, okay? Because you can't control what the government does. Well, actually, you can by your vote, I should say. But to a large extent, come budget time, where the government's going to allocate their funding and what they propose at every election, it's something that you as an investor, if you're looking to create wealth, can't get stopped. Okay, you have to assess the situation, make some changes to your investment strategy, but more importantly, see if you can use it to your advantage. So what does it mean if these negative gearing changes come in play? If you believe the market, there'll be less investors out there. So doesn't that create better buying opportunities, right, for investors, for smart investors? They're saying that property prices will be lower. I don't actually know about that, and I certainly don't believe that long term, okay? Because negative gearing has never really driven the property market, okay, the way that a lot of people think. So the point I'm trying to make is you have the right to vote on the 18th of May, okay? You should really have a look at the policies put down, being set out by the Labor government and the Liberals, okay? You need to have a look at those policies and have a look at how they affect you, okay? You as an individual, you as your family, you as investors and people wanting to create wealth in this beautiful country, okay? Have a look at how they affect you. Then use them to your advantage. If Labor government gets in, right? Liberal government's really not planning to make any major changes to negative gearing or capital gains tax. But have a look at what happens when the Labor government gets in, right? If they do get in, don't just put your hands on your backside and say, well, then I'm not doing anything, right? Because you're not going to build any wealth by doing nothing, okay? Use it to your advantage. There are always, every time a major change takes place, such as this one that's being proposed, there are major opportunities available for the astute investor, right? Because you've got to be willing to look where most people aren't looking, okay? You've got to be willing to go to places where a lot of people aren't going, okay? You need to have a look at, you have to change your investment strategy, but by no means should you just do nothing, okay? Because that will give you, you'll know where you end up if you do nothing, okay? So take these changes that are being proposed and use them to your advantage, okay? You may want to look at buying new property because that's not going to be affected by negative gearing, okay, as opposed to established property, okay? They're looking to bring this in if the Labor government gets in anyway by the 1st of January 2020, okay? So there could be a lot of things you can do between now and then, okay? They'll probably apply the grandfather, what's it called, the grandfather rule. So if anything that you've got prior to the 1st of January 2020, you won't be affected by it. There's no prizes for guessing why they're not really touching new property. It's because they want to stimulate the employment sector, and new property creates employment opportunities, so they're not really going to mess with that too much. Capital gains tax, there's ways that you can handle that. There's ways to handle your capital gains tax today with the policies that are currently in play today, okay? And the Banking Royal Commission, you need to be a lot smarter as an investor, okay? You need to be, the Banking Royal Commission, all that's basically saying, in my language, you need to be all of us need to be better money managers, okay? We need to understand what we're doing with our money, where we're getting it, how we're spending it, right? And how we're reporting it. And we just need to be better money managers because banks have money, they're happy to lend money. You need to now look a certain way prior to what you had to do 12 months ago, okay? The criteria is a little bit tougher, but banks aren't saying we're not lending you money. Just have a look at their interest rates, have a look at the RBA monetary policy. Interest rates, variable interest rates right now for interest-only loans are still sitting at roughly 4.2, 4.3%. Well, that's what we're getting them for anyway. Principal and interest loans are even more attractive. They're offering interest-only loans with loan-to-value ratios up to 90% for investors. So they're certainly in the market to lend money, okay? You, as an investor, stack the odds in your favour. Set yourself up where you can't get declined. Be smart about your investment strategy. Don't just turn around and say, hey, you know what, I can't invest because banks won't lend me any money. Who's going to lose out of that equation? You are. So yeah, it's a great excuse that you can tell your partner and your friends and the people around you, hey, I wanted to invest in property, but I can't because banks won't lend me money. Sure, great excuse if you like excuses, but you're the person that's going to lose in the end. Okay, because if you're not building wealth, if you don't have another income stream coming in, and if you're not getting another form of cash flow, if your assets aren't appreciating, if you've been listening to me over the last 6 months, you're in trouble. Okay, so stack the odds in your favor by putting yourself in a great position to get your funding, to get your money approved by the bank, okay? This is something that we at Wealth for Life, and especially my mortgage team, can help you with, because it's all about long-term planning, okay? It's not about the move that you make today. It's like a smart player plays chess. It's not the move you make today. It's the move you're going to make throughout the game, okay? And that's the same with investing. Don't just be short-sighted and think about your first purchase or the next purchase. You need to set yourself up where you can continue to go for at least 5 to 10 years, okay? So come in and have a chat to us, wealthforlife.com.au or 1300 793 877. See one of my senior advisors, see my mortgage broker. These are the things that we can help you with. We can put you in a position where the banks aren't going to decline you, okay? We can move some things around. We can give advice on how you running your money, how you're managing your money, and put you in the best position possible to get the funding that you need. Because these days, banks know everything. They've got access to everything. There's nothing you can hide. Not that you ever should or would, right? Be upfront, but let's put you in a position where they're going to say yes. And remember, you don't need to just look at the first or the big four banks or the big five banks, right? There's second tier lenders, third tier lenders that have a lot of different lending criteria as well, okay? So put yourself in a position where you can win. Okay, and then any of these proposed changes, get into the market. Like, there's opportunities between now and the 18th of May. There's going to be opportunities between now and the 1st of Jan next year. Right? Don't be sitting there waiting for something to happen, which will probably never happen. You will always be the biggest loser. The person that waits is always the biggest loser. Okay, if you haven't figured that out, just look at your life over the last 5-10 years. Okay, nothing really great comes from waiting. Okay. So there's amazing opportunities out there, okay? Use them to your advantage, okay? So any questions regarding this episode, please feel free to type below. We love engaging with you guys again. And I'm happy to have anyone else express their own viewpoint on what I've discussed today. I certainly have an investment strategy at play myself, as do our clients, that takes this into effect. But more importantly, it doesn't derail us. Okay, we keep moving forward, and that's what you should do and that's what you need to do if you want to be a successful investor and a massive wealth creator, which I'm guessing you do, or else you wouldn't be watching this episode. Okay, so thank you once again for your time today, guys. Really appreciate it. Love hearing your questions. Love hearing your feedback. If there's anything that you want to discuss or you want me to talk about in the upcoming episodes, please feel free to let us know, and vote accordingly. Thanks, guys.